us today. Cherene is the VP of Growth at Bobbie, the first European-style organic infant formula that has raised over $50 million to take the soon-to-be $100 billion formula market by storm. Cherene honed her craft and expertise in growth and e-commerce while working for agencies like Human Marketing and Common Thread Collective. In 2021, Cherene joined Bobbie as their key growth director and built Bobbie's growth playbooks from the ground up. So why don't we get started with Cherene with a little bit about yourself and how you ended up at Bobbie?
Hey, everybody. So glad to be here. Thank you for the great introduction, Sarah. I spent the last over a decade in D2C e-commerce, growing e-commerce businesses from zero to, past 9 figures in revenue. Have seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. I got my start at a software design and development agency back when Magento was the hot e-commerce platform, and came up in, one of the top Magento partner agencies. Saw the growth of so many different industries and categories. I spent a lot of my career agency side, just due to the excitement of seeing so many businesses and being a part of their growth. And then I joined Bobbie almost 2 years ago, joined as their growth team member number 1. We were hitting our stride with, amazing hockey stick growth. And then the top of 2022, we came into the infant formula shortage. And, one of the biggest, the industry is a duopoly. One of the biggest competitors wiped out 40% of the supply when they had a recall. And so from that point forward, my job became reversing all demand, slowing all growth, pulling back every marketing lever for about, 6 to 9 months, introducing a wait list, stopping customer acquisition, got really great insight into what was truly driving growth at Bobbie. And then, fast forward to today, we're in 1,700 Target stores. We're just launched another product this week, and we're building that momentum and riding that momentum again today.
That's fantastic. And for those who may not have peeped Cherene's LinkedIn profile, she does say that she was the director of sloth for a little while at Bobbie, just going with that baby formula shortage and kind of pulling back all those levers. And we'll dive into that a little bit later, but I know you've covered it a lot on other places that you've spoken, so we'll try to shy away from it a little bit. Can you give us a glimpse into Bobbie's overarching D2C growth strategy post formula shortage?
Yes, I'll preface it with what the strategy was pre-shortage, and what made so much of the growth successful, and then compare it to that post-shortage time period. So, the biggest foundation and building block for Bobbie's successful growth was its strong product market fit. I mean, the product is incredible, and European style formula was not available in the US. You can order Euro style formula and ship it overseas. There's a lot less safety around it. The shipping is more unpredictable. So there was a big gap in the market. So Bobbie closed this gap, and that was the first layer of foundation for Bobbie's growth. And then Bobbie, as a disruptor brand, has built a very strong and differentiated brand compared to the players in the market. So product and brand are the foundation for growth pre-shortage. And that's what enabled us to have such successful scale over the first, year or 2 years of the business. And then everything else, all of the growth tactics and growth strategies are cherries on top of that really strong foundation that makes an amazing growth sundae. So that's pre-shortage. I mean, you also need to look at the industry. There's very few competitors in the US market. The market is finite. There's people entering and exiting every day. You have to have a baby that is under 1 years old, and you have to need formula. We don't convince people to switch from breastfeeding to formula feeding. It's you have to have a need for formula. And if you have a need, then we do our job to explain why we're the best product in the market, which is relatively difficult because there's so many regulations around this product. You can't say we are the best. You can explain to people in the terms of like what they're looking for in a product. So that's pre-shortage. And there's a really high barrier to entry to enter the market. It's very costly, and it takes a lot of testing, research, FDA, meeting FDA standards to get a product to market. And then fast forward to the shortage, because we were in a crisis, the White House flew over competitors overnight. They kind of like skipped the line in terms of going through all the regulatory guidelines that we had to go through to get a product to market. And we were on a wait list. So we stopped all customer acquisition. And we also had launched in Target. So during this period, the industry and our business model completely changed. And when we reopened, we're now in Target. We now have more competition, and we have no more growth momentum built up. We had, kind of this lull in our growth. So coming into this new post-shortage environment, there's also a hangover of people who kind of hoarded and stocked up during that shortage. And now we're on the other side, and it's how do we continue to innovate, make our D2C offering the most compelling compared to what's out there in the market, and retain people on our site when we have more options now and we're an omni-channel brand. So the growth strategy is constantly evolve, and look at what's happening in the market and deliver to your audience exactly what sets your product apart from what's out there.
For sure. And I love that. And it kind of goes nicely into our next topic, which is what channels usually fuel growth. One of your top Twitter threads that you have pinned kind of goes, growth marketers are quick to throw out, ads are my main channel growth, or email is, but really it's about that offer. So maybe we can talk about what creates a compelling offer and how Bobbie came to their compelling offer.
Yeah. It's such a great revelation for me to have realized, like, it's not the growth channel. The channel is just the vehicle that gets someone to the offer. And I think so much of us in the growth space are a little bit pigeonholed on, like, this platform says this and this one says that, and I'm looking at this number and that number and like this tactic, and I read this thread. And we kind of need to zoom out and think about like the market that you're serving, the consumers in that market and what they're looking for and how they're shopping and how they're comparing products. For something like baby formula that is so high stakes, you don't just impulse purchase baby formula. You do a lot of research first. This is your baby. It's your most precious, the most precious being on the planet. What's most important to parents is they want their baby to feel comfortable. They don't want their baby to have issues with digestion when switching to a formula. So for us, the most important introductory offer is a trial, giving people the ability to try before they commit. And so many, subscription businesses have a variation of this. It's with Third Love. It's I think you like get to try on the bra before they actually charge you. For Warby Parker, it's the same thing. It's like you get the glasses before you have to pay for them and you send them back. For every business, this like trial moment or this, acquisition offer moment looks a little bit different. For some businesses, it might just be a really good first order discount if you know that you can retain people beyond that. But I think it goes back to like, what are the unit economics for a trial offer that makes sense for the business? And then what's your retention beyond that first purchase? And how attractive and compelling is it? And does it fit into the consumer's life and purchasing decision framework?
For sure. And then after getting that customer through the offer, it's all about keeping them. And I saw that Bobbie has a subscription service. And I think one of my favorite messages on the website is you subscribe to us and we subscribe to you. We hold the amount of formula that you need until your child is 1. How did that how did that specific offer come to be? And has Bobbie always been a subscription first business?
Yeah, we're essentially, and I could be, I need to fact check this, but I believe we're the first subscription formula business D2C. There might have been others, but they're not doing as much volume as we are. We are the infant formula subscription brand. And what makes, what we always try to do is build the experience for the customer. So we never force like, you have to be in a subscription, unless we are in a supply constrained situation. So we give our customers optionality. You can subscribe, you can one-time purchase, you can trial. But the thing that was very interesting with the formula shortage and what we learned very quickly was if we leave all of these options open, we're going to have a really hard time guaranteeing that a baby can complete their feeding journey on Bobbie. And one of the most important things to parents is if they find a good formula, sometimes this takes parents 3 or 4 tries to find the right formula that fits for their baby. Having to make them switch is a nightmare. So when we came into the shortage, it was like, okay, we could just keep it open, sell, all of our product, acquire a bunch of customers, and we don't know how long this is going to go. It might go for a week, it might go for a month, it might go for a year. And we made a very quick decision and a difficult decision to stop acquisition and only allow our existing subscribers to continue their feeding journeys. And that was a very important decision to us. And that's where that guarantee came from, is like, we wanted to be the only infant formula brand that stayed in stock and continued to provide deliveries without interruption at all for our customers. And that created a lot of loyalty and brand love, as you can imagine. People are like, you saved us during this crisis. Like, I had no stress at all when all of this panic was happening. Parents were having a really hard time. But our subscribers were like, they were at ease knowing that their deliveries would come. And so now we've actually shifted our business model, knowing that because we exist in a duopoly, because there's so few competitors, this could happen again. And we rest on that promise that we are going to guarantee our customers their subscriptions. And it comes down to very good demand and supply planning and having a good understanding of our retention data. And we can assume, if we acquire a consumer, they're going to need this, this much of a subscription. And we essentially bake that into our planning.
That's really neat that you can then leverage that data for other things, right? So it's good for the business and it's good for the customer. I really love how that insight drove this business model, and it's so impactful. I'm going to switch gears a little bit and kind of get your thoughts on social commerce. So community is really big for Bobbie. I love the Milk Drunk blog. I love the name of it. It's so much fun. Or the Bobbie Breasties community. So how do you think social commerce plays a role in not just D2C brands and Bobbie, but also marketing in general?
Yeah, I think brands that don't invest in do good and give back are really missing out. Number one, because as a business, you have a responsibility to not only just make profit, but make the world better. And the businesses that, there's a great book about this that I'm forgetting the name of. I think it was like by the guy who started Whole Foods, about people over profits and how doing good actually accelerates your business. And we believe in that wholeheartedly. So, investing in the community, while it doesn't drive direct sales, it reinforces in people's minds that this business is here to make change. And I think it only works if it's authentic. And that's what, I'm so in awe of the work we're doing at Bobbie. It's so much of it is like, brings you to tears. It's actually amazing. But I think it also, like, that's the good part of it. That's like the touchy-feely part of it. But then the business impact of doing that is you are differentiated in the market, in the space, and consumers remember businesses that make an impact. And I think that is becoming a bigger trend and something that consumers will keep in mind, and will remember. And it's a good way of just like getting engagement with your community beyond sales or social media. It's like, we're going to do this event, we're going to give back, please contribute to it, and let's change the world together. And that, like, money can't buy that. And the impact, is you're building a business, you're building a legacy business when you do that kind of work.
For sure. And one of the things about building a legacy business is having that zero-party data so that you can continue to create products and campaigns and offers that work well with your customers. So on that, do you think the strategy, sorry, I'm just going to go back to the questions. In one of your interviews, you also talked about the importance of this zero-party data to understanding your customers better. Do you think this strategy will be different across industries, from food to fashion to home style, lifestyle, et cetera?
I think that how you do it and the questions that you pose will be different. But I think and like marginally different. I think there's enough of the same tools out there that allow businesses to get data from their customers. And I think the why you should do it is the same. And it's,
yes, 100%.
We can all sit in a room and talk about, like, I think this will be a good idea. I think that will be a good idea. Let's look at the data. The data says this or that or this. And sometimes you can kind of get blinded by the data so much by just like looking at raw data and numbers and metrics. And it's, sometimes we're in these meetings and we're making big decisions and we'll just go, did we ask the customers what they think about this? And we're like, oh yeah, like, why don't we just ask them? I mean, they will tell us exactly like what we're trying to figure out here. And we're like trying to design this elaborate test, to see if it has statistical significance. And it's like, before going down that road, like, let's just survey some customers, or let's create a path for customers to share their data willingly with us so that we can make their experience better. And I think there's so many benefits of personalization in your experience. I think building your experience for your customers is another thing, just kind of like social commerce, that on the surface, you might not immediately think like, oh, why don't we just like run the playbook that every other brand runs, versus like, let's make a new playbook based on what our customers want. And that's what really, like, I think that's another thing that distinguishes businesses from each other.
That's fantastic. And further to that, so this is going to be a two-parter question. So one is, how do you build that feedback loop into your product and into the marketing that you do so that you're constantly getting customer feedback and improving? And the second one is, do you use any third-party research or customer intelligent tools to get more information about customers that you may not have from your zero-party data?
Yeah, definitely. It's a great question. And one of the ways that we bake data capture into our product today is through what we call our formulator, which is our formula calculator. And, so many businesses do the out of the box quiz flow. Like, let's have a quiz that goes into a recommendation. And it's like to the point that it's so expected. And, we were historically, up until this week, a one product business with all we had was different sizes. And so it's like, how do you build a quiz that only suggests the same product? And we did user research on site, and we looked at some of the friction points, and we noticed that people did not know how much to order. So we created a quiz flow experience that baked in the medical, recommendations, like directionally, of how much someone would need if they consumed Bobbie. So again, it's like taking the playbook and customizing it and personalizing it for our customers and their experience based on the data that we're getting around what they need help with, how to make their experience better. And that's been really successful. And now it's like, what other things can we use as tools to help customers? And I think that's the key, is like, is this data capture actually helping someone? What is the outcome and what is it like giving them? Then that's going to be like a successful zero-party data play. As far as third-party data, we do our own, we run our own studies. We access data sets to understand, market size and, sales volume in the market. I can't give all the secrets away. I need some of that in my back pocket, but the data is very important to how we make our decisions. And I like the value of doing a brand study and just surveying people who are in market. And then also like layering on other data sets and it's interesting because it allows you to kind of arrive at the same conclusions through multiple different ways and give you more confidence in what you believe to be true.
Definitely. And it's super helpful with the scientific method, right? Make a hypothesis, do the data, see if it either confirms your hypothesis or denies it, but as many different data sets as you can have definitely helps expand what you can do and what your plan is. I love that answer. That's so fantastic. And for those who may not know what Bobbie just launched in the last week, did you want to get into what your new secondary product is?
Yes, we've been on market for 2 years with one product. It's our organic infant formula. It's our flagship product. It's actually in the industry, it's called a routine infant formula, meaning most healthy babies that are not premature, don't have any other issues, can digest it and tolerate it well. And then on Monday, we just launched our organic gentle infant formula, which is in the product is a tolerance formula, and it's made with partially hydrolyzed proteins. So this is where I'm like pretending to be scientific, but
I love it.
formula, like the proteins are fully intact, and then babies that have issues digesting those proteins, there's a category of formulas that are a little bit more broken down in the proteins. So that's what we just launched. It's super exciting. There's a lot of great impact that it's already having on our business. And I'm excited it's like a little baby that's just been born. I'm like very proud of it.
That's so much fun. That's really, really cool. And one of the things I really like about the Bobbie website is that you can see the product, and then you also have pictures that show what it is that is in the product for folks who may not have any idea what the type of protein you just spoke to could look like, what it is, etc. What are some other on-site touch points like product descriptions, sustainability, et cetera, that folks can leverage in their D2C marketing to try and increase conversions?
Yeah, it's a combination for me of what are people searching, what are people researching before making the purchasing decision, and what are they looking for on your site that's going to help them make that decision without going somewhere else, and what is actually driving conversion. So, one example of this is we have a feeding guide on our site. And while it doesn't immediately drive conversion for people who are doing research, it's almost like a traffic acquisition tool. So we use SEO hand in hand with user research to make the journey easier and try and keep people on our site instead of going elsewhere. It's really important to do that if you have like a research intensive product.
For sure. And especially European formulation versus what's available in North America. I personally didn't even know there was a difference. So it's really interesting to have that broken down on the website and not have to go somewhere else to say, hey, what's the difference? here. Are there any other overlooked growth marketing strategies that new age D2C brands can tap into, either on their website? It could be a channel strategy. What are your kind of favorite go-tos?
I think press is overlooked by traditional growth marketers. Some of the impact that I've seen press and, like mass media, like getting on the news or getting on a live TV segment takes a lot of work, and it could be very expensive. And it takes a lot of time and it's unpredictable, but the returns that it has almost outweigh some of the impact of driving big sale moments. So I think that's a big one. And then there's like big press. And then I think there's like performance PR, like getting into all of the blog posts and listicles and best of with, even if they're like affiliate links and you're paying a commission on them, I think that really solidifies in consumers' minds that like, oh, this is a legitimate brand. The legitimacy thing is something that I think is another thing that will distinguish brands from each other.
For sure. And do you want to deep dive into how folks can maybe get more social proof on their website to prove their legitimacy? So you spoke about press, having those press bits. Bobbie has the awards that you've won. Baby formula, so good. We've won awards for it. How else can you add that legitimacy or that trust on your website, or even just building it through the customer journey?
Yeah. I mean, the core trust badges are social proof, reviews, press, award seals, and then any kind of like things that will ease hesitation around like purchase protection, return policy, shipping, questions. As someone is scanning, they might not be consciously looking for those things, but having those things available on your homepage and, down the funnel on site too, it really reinforces confidence when people are on site.
For sure. And are there other areas offsite that you incorporate social proof? Do you include it in your offers? Anywhere else? Any other touch points?
Yeah. I think it's interesting to test all of that stuff in ads, testing reviews in ads. I think testing reviews through or running reviews through third-party publications is really effective. So when someone is searching brand name reviews, you're not the only site that shows up. I think video search is really important too. So not only dominating, the first 3 to 5 positions from an organic search perspective, but also having video content, having reels, and even now TikToks are being surfaced in the video SERPs on Google. So having TikTok videos that have your brand name reviews out there for people to really do their research. And I don't have the data to back this up, but I think more consumers are getting a little bit wary of what they see on Google search. I think, savvy consumers know that a lot of these are paid for and sponsored. And so they're starting to turn to Reddit and YouTube for real reviews, or even TikTok. So I think it's seeding your product and it's absolutely starts with having a great product, because you can't convince anyone on Reddit. I feel like that's where people are the most honest. So you have a great product, the people on Reddit will talk about how great it is, or they will talk about how great it is not. And then, the other channels, like being strategic about seeding those channels with review content.
That's fantastic. And I love that almost omni-channel or integrated approach to sharing reviews. So incorporating a little piece in everything that you're doing to build that legitimacy on top of your great product, so that so by the time someone visits your website, you've kind of built that trust already. So they just need to do the research to see, hey, is this good for me? Are there any growth marketing mistakes that brands should definitely avoid? I'm sure you've seen some in your agency time, and I'm sure you have some comments there or suggestions.
Oh, yeah. I think the biggest mistake that young brands make is investing and relying way too heavily on paid to grow customer acquisition. It's really easy in the beginning to rely on paid. It's like, great, we're running ads and we're growing our customer base and we're, kind of profitable on first order. And as you scale that way, you reach a breaking point and a point of diminishing returns where your acquisition costs go up, and your acquisition becomes less profitable. And if something like iOS ever happens again, iOS 14, if that change ever happens again, and that's your one reliance for how you grow your business and how you drive customers to your site, you're going to be in trouble, which a lot of brands were. So I think it is really building your organic acquisition strategically from the beginning and not only relying on paid for growth. And then the other thing that I see as a big mistake is when brands have early success with one product and they continue to rely on paid and one product, then you're really in trouble, because new products are another way to grow your business and reach new audiences. So it's having, a thoughtful product development pipeline. It's diversifying your marketing channels away from just paid. And then I think it's being in touch with your consumers in your market and knowing their needs and what they want, what price they want it at, and what channels they want to see it on, and where they're at, where they're doing their shopping.
Definitely. The future of commerce, well, historically it's been this way too, but the emphasis on the consumer and the data, it's the brands who do well are the ones who really understand their customers, and growth marketers have always been pretty good at including data within what they're doing in terms of scaling and growing and making sure that you're pulling the right levers to engage that growth. But there are some areas of marketing that may be more focused on the creative side, but at the end of the day, it all comes down to those really great consumer insights. And that's how you get those really great campaigns, or those really great offers, or those really great websites. I'm going to leave you with a question that I leave basically everyone who's been on the live stream lately. And it's, if you had any piece of advice, whether it's been given to you, whether you've given it out in your many years in e-commerce, what is the one piece of advice that you would give a growing D2C brand? It could be related to marketing. It could be not related to marketing. Up to you.
Yeah, I think as a traditional growth marketer, I came up looking so closely at the numbers and so purely at the numbers. I think my biggest learning coming into Bobbie was having a perspective shift and looking at the customers first and really thinking about it in the lens of what is the person going to experience, and is that experience in line with the strategy that we're putting forth. I don't think it's revolutionary. I don't think it's revolutionary at all, but I think so many people who are so performance minded forget this, and so many businesses don't kind of take the time to do that. So I think it's just talk to customers more. It's not even new age. It's just talk to customers. I think that's the most valuable learning that I've had. The other one I think that I would suggest is keep talking to other professionals and experts in your space. Keep connected to others, learn from others, and then play around with new platforms. Don't let technology progress faster than you're progressing. So if there's a new platform, and even if it sounds crazy and it's for 5-year-olds, download it and use it, because you're going to be left behind. And then the last one I think is figure out how to incorporate AI into your business. If you're any level of employee in a business, figure out how to use it so that you can stay relevant and hold your position and be the AI overlord, and don't let the AI be your overlord.
Love that. Personalization. Don't let AI take over. Make sure that you're seeing people for people and not just numbers. Those are really, really great insights, and I think a really great way to wrap up the session. So thank you so much for joining us today, Cherene. We really appreciate it. Thank you for everyone who's watching on the live stream. Give Cherene a follow, give Bobbie a follow, check out their website. And don't forget to check out Mason on LinkedIn. I hope everyone enjoys their Wednesday. And again, thank you so much, Cherene, for joining us.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Mason team. And thank you, everyone who is watching.